welcome to the Scottish Football Forums podcast. This week I'm joined by co-host Laurie, as well as a special guest, is somebody from the forum who goes under the name of One Man Clapping, and his real name is Greig. Hello, Greig.
How we doing, Craig? Hi, Laurie.
How you doing?
All right. How you, Greig?
Yeah, not too bad. Sitting here, ready for my first SFF podcast, and rearing to go.
Right, good one. So we'll start off with looking at the SPL games, and I suppose the first game we should be looking at is the Dundee United Rangers game, which is live on ESPN on Saturday lunchtime. I don't know if either of you watched it, but it was a 1-0 win for Rangers, but it was, I don't know if I want to use the word lucky, but it was close. Maybe a draw would have been fair if the sending off hadn't occurred. But yeah, 1-0 Rangers. Did any of you watch it?
I saw the highlights. Yeah, I think from as far as I could gather from what I saw, I think the sending off certainly assisted Rangers. It did look an open game, even after it to a degree, but it certainly seemed to obviously give them that numerical advantage, and they did capitalise. Still a few scares for them, Rankin hitting the post near the end, but it's a tough place to go, Tannadice, so I think McCoist would definitely have taken it, and seemed on the balance that Rangers did shade it, but I think that sending off kind of stupidity from Johnny Russell, I think that'll be maybe the main thing that United will regret about the game and wonder what they could have done for the rest of the match if he hadn't basically been an idiot and got himself sent off for just stupidity. I don't know what Broadfoot must have said something that he took the wrong way, but there you go.
Yeah, same as Laurie. I've seen the highlights now, and I listened to a wee bit on the radio yesterday, but more or less the same. I mean, United looked as though they had some good possession and probably the bulk of the chances, but yeah, as soon as you get a man sent off against the Old Firm, you just know you're going to be suspect to them creating chances and probably losing a goal further down the line, and that's exactly what happened. The only other thing that I really noticed from the highlights was a penalty claim for Dundee United, which I've seen it a few times now, and I just, it's a dodgy one. I think it depends which angle you see it from, and I think it depends which team you support. If you're a United fan, I think you're screaming for that one, and if you're a Rangers fan, I think you can probably make a good argument that the United player was looking for it. But yeah, I mean, two sort of big decisions here, the penalty and I mean the sending off was as daft a sending off as I've ever seen, I think.
I think the penalty claim, I think I was kind of disappointed in Swanson because see if he'd kept running, I think he was going to be brought down. I think his decision to somehow dive into it, I think it made the referee's mind up, because I do think he was brought down. I do think it was a penalty, but the way he dived, it just made it look suspect. One of the replays showed that I think it was Goyen. I think he did actually get a touch on the ball, but it was so minute that there's no way the referee's going to see that. Nobody's going to see that live.
I don't know if it's a case of Swanson's reputation preceding him, because I have to say he does do it quite a lot. He likes to go down easily, and to be honest, I don't think that's a penalty. And even though I know they get given, and I was actually listening to Talk Sport the other week. Last week it was, and Stan Collymore was making a really good point that he doesn't understand what's happened with the game, where everyone's like, "Oh, there was a touch, so it means it's a penalty." Mm-hmm. Because surely it started that it was a touch, but it has to be a touch that would bring you down. I mean, it's a contact sport, it's football. You're going to touch players sometimes, but if it's not enough to bring you down, then surely it's not a penalty. That's why I don't think Christoph Berra's got a penalty for Scotland, even though I see them given all the time, and everyone's like, "Oh no, there was a wee brush." It's Berra's 6'4" or 6'3" something. He's a big lad, just because someone touches you doesn't mean that's a penalty. And I think it's gone too far now that everyone does it. It looks like if there's any brush, any nick, any contact at all, then that's cue to throw yourself to the ground, and it should be a penalty. And I think it, to be honest, needs to get addressed a bit, because to me it should be if you get touched and it's enough to bring you down is a penalty, or it blocks you, or it causes, it changes your run, or it slows you down or whatever. But it has to, interfere with what's going on. And Swanson did the typical thing where you drag your legs, and it doesn't look natural at all. It's not what happens when someone gets fouled and someone gets taken out of the game properly. I don't like it at all, and I think Swanson has a bit of a reputation for doing it.
I think the referee, the fact that they are coming out and booking people for diving, so it does seem that they are trying to stamp down on it. But I don't know. In doing that, they're obviously putting the backs up of the team, the supporters of the guy who was maybe brought down, but just because he made the most of it, he's getting booked.
It's like anything though. Just because of the recent incidents, you'll find that maybe it gets a bit popular to book players for diving for a couple of weeks. But I don't know. I think players will continue to do it, and players will continue to get penalties from it, and it'll continue to annoy me. And don't get me wrong, Hearts players have done it for Hearts as well before anyone mentions a certain Scotland match. Hearts players have done it, and I don't like when they do it. I don't like when any player, even my own team, does it if there's no touch at all. I don't particularly like players doing it when there's the slightest touch, but that's kind of the way the rules work, and that's whilst you get penalties for doing it, they're going to keep going down with the slightest of touch. So I don't know if you can really blame the players now, because if it's 0-0 in the Edinburgh Derby and Templeton gets a slight nick and goes down and we get a penalty, I'm not going to be overly angry about it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think for me the telling point with the incident yesterday was that if you look at Swanson's reaction when he doesn't get the penalty and he does get booked, there doesn't seem to be a great deal of argument from him, and I think you can generally tell by players they know if they've gone down easy or not. And I think in that instance yesterday that was definitely the case. But it's a good point that you guys are making, because especially thinking back to the Scotland game last weekend and the incident with Brer at the end. I mean, if somebody stands in your foot, the instant reaction isn't to throw yourself onto the ground. If somebody stands in your foot, you immediately draw your foot up. And I think it's that whole thing. There was no doubt there was contact made there, but that contact isn't enough to make you go sprawling, 6 feet onto the ground. So yeah, it's kind of one of these as well. I mean, I remember it's a really subjective thing, because as sitting here in the podcast, and we'll all agree it's kind of not the done thing for players to be doing. But I remember Jamie Murphy taking a cracker at a dive at Ibrox. I think it was a couple of seasons ago. It was like the game finished for each, and it's as ridiculous a dive as I've ever seen. But I don't remember that afternoon me being particularly disgusted with Jamie Murphy. I think I was claiming for penalties and sending offs and everything else. So it's one of these, isn't it? You're never going to decline a penalty given in that fashion. But yeah, I mean, the referees, it's down to them really to be seen to be stamping this out.
It's the ruling, yeah. I mean, the players are going to keep doing it, and I get that I get that the ultimate aim is obviously to win games, and by getting penalties and scoring goals, that's how you win games. But sometimes, part of you feels that there should be a bit more honesty about it, but maybe that's just being a bit naive.
Yeah, but yeah. I found it enjoyable on the forum when we were discussing the Broadfoot incident and whether Russell brought him down or not. I found it interesting that we're all looking at the same incident, we're all looking at the same replays, and I was adamant that Broadfoot was clipped, I would say 3 times, and there was a couple on the forum agreed, but then there was also a couple on the forum that said the exact opposite and said he wasn't touched. So I think it's good that one of the good things about football is we're all watching it, we're all seeing the same pictures, but taking different things from them. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, and on the subject of Broadfoot in that incident, I suppose to the guy's credit, he didn't make more of what was a nothing head, but many times have we seen that happen and players drop to their knees and clutching their face. I mean, to be fair to the big guy, he more or less sort of laughed it off, held his nose a wee bit and laughed it off. So yeah. I suppose for that perspective, he's due a wee bit of credit for doing that as well. Others might not have been as honest in their reaction to that.
Yeah, other Rangers players. Yeah,
yes.
I can think of one specifically.
Yep.
Yeah. So looking at the result was 1-0 to Rangers. So looking at the predictions from last week, I had went for 3-1 to Rangers. So I got 1 point in the predictor for that. Laurie you went for 2-1, so another point for you. But John, or JB, he went for 1-0 to Rangers, so he's shown us up straight away.
Yep, he continues his good form.
Yeah. Greg, what did you go for that game?
I've got a funny feeling I might have taken a score draw for that one. I think I'd maybe gone one each for that. So nothing doing for me. But as you'll see from my league position in the predictor, that's not entirely surprising. Although I missed a week. I'm claiming I missed a week, so I'm a week behind.
That's what they all say. So the next game that I thought we'd talk about is a game that you might appreciate, Greg, is the Celtic Motherwell game.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Let's skip past that one and go straight to the Kilmarnock game. No,
I think we should emphasise that the 4-0 and it's 4-0 to Celtic, and going by the highlights, it could have been more.
Aye, it was 4 going and 14. I'd spent the first 20 minutes trying to find a reliable feed, and in the end I'd given up and just switched on to the radio commentary. But by that point we were 1 goal down. But by all accounts, the first 10 minutes or so we started reasonably well. Kept a wee bit of possession, but it's the same old story. As soon as you lose that first goal to the Old Firm, especially away from home, especially Celtic Park, it gives you a mountain to climb, and I think from that point on, it was really back to the wall sort of stuff. On the highlights, if you can call them highlights, I think Higdon had one turning shot which went about 2 or 3 yards wide in the first half, and that was it. I mean, in the second half especially, Celtic looked as though with every attack they launched, they were going to stick another goal past us. So it's one of these. It's not a great result. Nobody likes getting beat 4-0, but to put it in context, I think we hit a Celtic side that were in good form yesterday. So we're maybe lucky to get away with a 4-0.
They were fantastic yesterday from what I saw in the highlights. I think when the Celtic team are on form like that, I think there's no doubt that they're the best team in the league. I would even go maybe quite a bit better than Rangers. I think the problem is obviously getting them to play like that all the time. But when they do, I think their passing is fantastic, and the goals were really good to watch as well. I think gave us, the key one. It was almost nonchalant the way he just kind of, sliced it outside the boot. I thought it was a cracking goal.
Yeah, no, he scored a similar one in the cup final against us as well, and the boy Forrest as well took his chances as well. So yeah, no complaints from me in that result, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Forrest was looking really good. He seemed to be involved in everything. Definitely a good performance from him, and as you say, Key. I don't know. You never see him scoring an easy goal. It's always a good ping from maybe 20-25 yards out.
Who does he think he is, Paddy McCourt?
So prediction wise, I had went for a 2-0 victory to Celtic because I thought that Motherwell might have put up more of a fight.
More fool you,
dig there, Greg.
Yeah, I'm not rising. You're not some not rising.
I know. Yeah, you're doing well.
See, to be honest, that was us putting a fight up yesterday because we'd initially set up the team to play in a sort of defensive formation. So that's not a good sign when you're shipping 4 goals. But what I would say is, although it's a disappointing result and it's a bad result, the bigger blow for Motherwell yesterday was Big Sean Hutchison limped off after, I think, about 20 minutes with an ankle problem, and they're not sure yet whether it's ligaments or whether it's some sort of fracture because he hobbled out of there in crutches yesterday. So, to put it into perspective, a defeat's bad enough, but losing another centre back like that, it's just going to be a nightmare for us. So
who did you put in defence? Because he brought in Humphrey, didn't he?
They brought Humphrey on and they just moved Tom Haitley to right back. Who Tom normally plays right back anyway, and moved the boy Clancy into the centre of the park. So I mean, there's players there to cover, but with young Saunders being out for the season with his Achilles, and now Hutchison looking at certainly a few games off with whatever problem he's got. It's, this sort of threadbare squad that we've got start to show its weaknesses a wee bit. So I don't know. There's a couple of guys in the bench who could maybe come on and play, but we're now starting to get to the sort of bare bones of the squad.
So I'd went for a 2-0, so I got a point in the predictor. Laurie, you also went for a 2-0.
Yep.
And JB went for 2-1 Celtic, so he got a point as well.